The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
It looks like we're going to be able to expand into Covington this summer, into Newport and Bellevue, and we're also going to have a bunch more stations we'll be able to put into the Cincinnati area as well.
Red Bike, the local bike sharing program launched late last summer, is expanding across the river, and Red Bike is just the most visible part of an explosion of local biking enthusiasm. Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. 4 years ago, a project team of Class 34 of Leadership Cincinnati developed the original business plan for a bike share program in Cincinnati. When the class was over, some members of the project, especially Nancy Strassel, kept working, building support and searching for the funding to make the vision a reality. That effort led to Mayor Cranley throwing his support behind the effort and cutting the ribbon on the system last September. That day, Local 12 reporter Joe Webb explained the basics of Red Bike.
Red Bike didn't get rolling until 10:30 this morning, but by lunchtime, a lot of the bikes were on the road. We caught up with Drew Whiting and Lisa Ward on Fountain Square.
Well, we were up in the Kroger building, and we just checked out in front of there and wrote it down, was it Walnut? Now we're going to hit lunch here on the square and ride them back, I guess.
That's what Red Bike is designed for. Short hops, stay as long as you need, then back to the bike station and a ride back to where you came from. There were a lot of gawkers today, a lot of curiosity, most just wondering how Red Bike works. And it's simple. You can borrow a bike one of two ways.
You're curious, you want to try it out, you just walk up to the station, you swipe your credit card, an $8 day pass. That gets you unlimited 60-minute bike rides for the whole day, 24 hours.
Or you can buy an annual pass for $80, and that gives you unlimited access to the Red Bikes. If you like to ride a bike, it's a new green option with more than 30 places to check in and check out, all in busy areas of town for business, food, and entertainment. A lot of the gawkers plan to take a Red Bike for a spin.
We would definitely use these around town, just going down to the banks or Smale Park, going up to OTR for lunch like we were talking about.
Just 8 months later, which included 4 very cold months, Red Bike is not only expanding in Cincinnati, but now into northern Kentucky, Covington, Newport, and Bellevue. I am joined this morning by Jason Barron, the executive director of Red Bike, Sherry Carran, the mayor of Covington, and Thomas Froome, the city manager of Newport. Welcome to everybody. Sherry, welcome back. You've been here before. Jason's never been on camera. He's always been behind camera. He was at City Hall for 8 years, and we've interacted for a long time, and I finally got you now in the hot seat. So
It's a different spot.
Yeah, it's a different spot. How is, now before we get to the expansion across the river, there are new stations in the downtown area. You've got one right across from my office, which I appreciate. But how are things going? I mean, September to May isn't that much of time, especially given the winter was there. How are things going with Red Bike?
Things have been going really great. And Joe explained it perfectly. I mean, that's kind of on the day we launched, that was how we wanted the system to work, and it turns out that's exactly how it worked. It's been really exciting for us because even in the cold months, even in December, we had 2,000 rides in that month. January, 2,000 rides. So people were still using the bikes to get around. And the reality is that a 10-minute walk in the cold is cold. A 2-minute bike ride is still cold, but it's a lot shorter. And so it was really important for us to get going. We could have very easily waited and maybe waited until March or April to kind of launch the whole system. But for us, we got going and gave people a chance to try it out, kind of start to turn it into part of their regular lives. And we're really excited about kind of rocketing from here out into the spring and summer and really seeing this thing take hold. I mean, already 31,000 rides just in this short period of time.
So the interesting thing is now to turn to northern Kentucky and expansion. This is new. I mean, it's not like it's well tested, although the results, the early results are good. Mayor Carran, why jump on board this so quickly?
Because a lot of people were asking for it is basically the reason why. When the whole thing started, we knew there were going to be 3 phases. The first 2 in Cincinnati, third was northern Kentucky, and with Mayor Cranley basically taking on the first 2 phases as quickly as he did, that beefed up our time frame. And for me, I had people just chomping at the bit wanting this to happen.
And Tom, over in Newport, my understanding, I talked to the mayor briefly yesterday, And he was telling me that a lot of the fundraising is really grassroots stuff, that, you know, this isn't just the city doing this. This is people wanting to get involved in creating the stations in your city. Is that right?
Yes, it's really exciting. We had a big donor step up right away, and then South Bank partners that Newport and Covington and Bellevue are involved in, they also stepped up in a big way. And then we had the neighborhood groups begin that grassroots fundraising effort, and they were able to raise $30,000 within a few short weeks. So it's really made our job a lot easier within the city, and it shows how much enthusiasm amongst the residents, as Mayor Carran brought up, that there are in the Northern Kentucky area here for this program.
So Jason, we've got stations downtown, we've got stations in uptown, up in the UC Clifton area, and there's going to be, so by the end of this calendar year, let's use that for the moment, by the end of 2015, how many stations do you imagine, how many bikes out on the street, what's the capacity going to be?
Well, it's pretty exciting, actually. As the mayor and the city manager talked about, there's been a ton of enthusiasm around this, not just in Cincinnati, but in Northern Kentucky. We get Instagrams and tweets of photos of bikes in Northern Kentucky all the time already. So imagine once the stations get there. And, you know, we're trying to be aggressive about it. People like it, so we want to grow. We have a real opportunity to grow quickly. So we're going to install between 15 and 20 stations here in early June. That's kind of our plan right now, and that's going to include Northern Kentucky, Covington, Newport, and even Bellevue. And then we're going to put in 5 or 6 more stations later in the summer. So by our first birthday, we're going to have almost doubled in size. And I think that's the testament to how exciting biking is. In your intro, you said there's been this watershed moment for biking, and that really seems to be happening, and we hope bike share is a real big part of that.
And we're going to continue the second part of the show talking about some of that larger biking enthusiasm beyond Red Bike. But so how many bikes will be out there?
So we're kind of still crunching the numbers, but it's going to be looking like well over 400 bikes will be on the streets for folks to use every day.
Well, one of the nice things about including Northern Kentucky and having Northern Kentucky, having grown up in Northern Kentucky, I always loved to have this happen, but is that it's Northern Kentucky, Covington, Newport, Bellevue, Cincinnati are all in the basin, and we're all very flat down in the basin. So as long as we can get across those bridges, this is great for biking.
It is, and what we were seeing last summer, people coming over on Red Bike from Cincinnati to go to our restaurants or go to events that we were having, and thinking that we had stations and we didn't. So I think that they were very disappointed. But yeah, we have, the river doesn't divide us. The river really brings us together. Dan, if I may, just to key on to what Tom said, the funding for our 6 bike stations, we were very, very fortunate. So 220 is coming from 3, 20 from South Bank, 50 from John Toppitz and his wife, and 150 from one anonymous contributor. So we were very lucky, because otherwise it would have been hard for the city to take the money out of our budget.
Yeah, so it's people who are interested in this and see the value in it.
Right.
Have you ridden a bike yet, Tom?
No, but I'm looking forward to it, because even I, with the flat terrain, I can even ride a bike.
Okay.
So I am looking forward to it. One anecdote here is I know people from the levee, Newport levee, they've said they've seen numerous people on red bikes come over. Of course, we have no stands yet, but people getting the red bikes from downtown Cincinnati have been over at Newport on the levee.
Sure.
So
well, and with the Purple People Bridge, I mean, it's perfect. I mean,
it is.
That's what the bridge is there for. That's what it's used for.
Absolutely.
On your own bike, you can bike along both riverfronts on Route 8 in Northern Kentucky. Now, one thing I want to make the point, though, is that, and Joe made this point, or maybe you were the one who said it in Joe's package, that when you rent a red bike, it's for hour increments, not for just go out all day and bike. Why is that, and what does that serve?
That's a great point, Dan. So Red Bike, this is a little bit of a misconception. Red Bike's a nonprofit. So we're not a company that's out here trying to introduce this new product and sell it. We're a nonprofit. We see ourselves as this new amenity for this region. And our goal is basically to give people the opportunity to ride bikes. So rather than think of it as like bike rental, I rent a bike, I get an hour, or I get a day pass. This is like bike share, which means literally you have bikes on demand. And so the reason for the hour increment is to ensure that the bikes are always at the stations. So we want to make sure that whenever you are not riding the bike, you lock it at the station. That way it's available for somebody else, which in turn means when you want to use the bike again, it's ready for you. So you literally get the bike from one station to another, park the bike there, go in, do whatever you need to do, whether you want to stop by Newport on the Levee and maybe see a movie, or whether you want to go to Main Strasse and eat one of the great cafes. You leave the bike at the station rather than hooking it up to a bike rack or a tree, because then nobody else can use it, right? And so that's the real key with that hour piece, is to ensure that but if you want to go for a long bike ride, which we love, just check it right back in, check it right back out, and keep on going.
Keep going. And one of the things that people really need to know is there's a wonderful app, and I don't know if we can zero in on this, we'll just see the map part of it, but what you need to know when you use a Red Bike is not only where the bikes are, because you can kind of see that if you're at the station, but where there's empty spaces to park the bike. So
Absolutely.
if I'm getting on a Red Bike in downtown and going up to over the Rhine, or in the future here over into Covington or Newport for a meeting, I need to know if there's a slot open that I can park at. So I can check my app and make sure where there is a bike, and I don't need to return that bike to where I started. I don't need to go back to where I started at all.
Nope.
I can drop the bike and it's gone, or I pick up another bike and go someplace else.
It's really a no-hassle way to get around town, and it's fun.
So at this stage, what are both of your cities just moving forward? Is everything in place, or are there any obstacles that you still have to overcome?
Right now we're moving forward. The City Commission in Covington, we voted to approve the agreement with Red Bike. Our lawyers is working on getting that agreement put together and get it to Jason. We already have the 6 sites selected, and we're going to be working to get those ready. And I hope it's okay to say this, is that we're hoping they'll be in before the All-Star game in July.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
That would really be nice.
Yep.
And what about in Newport?
Basically the same as Mayor Carran said. We have our site selected. My Public Works Director went out with Mr. Barron and picked out the sites. There will be 4 sites in Newport. And we believe 2 of the sites by the levee are going to be extraordinarily popular.
Yeah.
Right by the Purple Bridge. And I have no doubt that we may be looking at expanding those sites because they're going to get a lot of use. But my board, the mayor and the Board of Commissioners, they were very much in support of this program. So the city is putting some money in because we felt that we had to set the leadership example, to put that up and get everybody else to join in, including the citizens and the businesses like that. So
are you free to announce where you say 2 of the sites down near where are the other 2?
2 are by the levee. One's by the Purple Bridge. One's closer to the Taylor South Gate, or as we know from the past Central Bridge. One will be in the 700 block of Mama Street, which would be good for the downtown, Mama Street business district. And the other will be at 6th and Washington, which has been a booming corridor lately. We have a coffee shop. We have Pompilio's restaurant. Wiedeman's Beer looks like they're going to be locating there. So we have a German deli. So it's a very busy corridor.
So this is another way to drive people to what's already happening in your city and reinforce it. In Covington, where will
well, our one hotspot, Main Strasse, we'll have one in Main Strasse. We'll have one in the Roebling Point area, which is the area just south of the Roebling Bridge. We will have one catty corner from the Convention Center. One on 7th and Washington. We're having a lot of activity up in the Pike Street area. We will have one down where the hotel area is on the west side of the city, because a lot of visitors come in for activities that are happening over in Cincinnati, but they're staying there, and so this Red Bike will be an opportunity for them to go over. And I want to make it clear, TANK, Transit Authority of Northern Kentucky, we have the shuttle, the trolley shuttle. They love this opportunity. So actually, 2 of the stations will be right adjacent to the shuttle stops.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So Jason, a lot of progress in a relatively short period of time since this got the green light over here. Is just fulfilling all of these right now, or do you have even more in mind?
Well, we get a lot of calls about where the next stations are going to go. We're really excited to do this. I mean, one of the great things has been the leadership we've seen from the local elected officials and city leaders. The city manager mentioned it, Mayor Carran mentioned it, but just like with Mayor Cranley in Cincinnati coming in with that funding early and saying this is something we believe in, that's led to more funding.
Right.
And the same thing happened in Newport and in Covington, where the city stepped up and said this is a priority for us. Because A, they heard it from the citizens, but then the citizens responded and said, oh, if you're in, we're in too. And then you also get the business community came in. You know, UC Health came in as our major sponsor,
right.
And that's really making this thing run. And so who knows, the sky could be the limit, but we think we're going to do this expansion, take our breath for a little bit. We've been running and gunning since we launched, see how this works. We're going to be up to well over 50 stations, 400 bikes in a little under a year. That's pretty exciting. Okay,
I want to make sure people know how to find out more. If you want to learn more about Red Bike, go to the website, cincyredbike.org. You will get information about the bikes, how to sign up, about the app, which is wonderful, as I was saying. If you need to, you can call 513-621-2453. And I highly recommend the annual pass. It just simplifies the whole process and makes getting on your bike really easy every time. Stay tuned. After a break, the explosion of biking in our region beyond Red Bike. Welcome back. The popularity of biking in Greater Cincinnati and nationally is exploding. This may seem sudden, but in reality, people have been laying the groundwork for this for decades. I am joined now by two of the foremost bike advocates in the region. Frank Henson is the president of the board of Queen City Bike and an avid cyclist. Queen City Bike promotes biking as a safe, accessible, and low-stress choice for everyday transportation by focusing on infrastructure and the development of policy. And Wade Johnston, the regional trails coordinator of the Tri-State Trails for the Green Umbrella. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for having us.
Frank, you're, just to help people understand, you're really committed. You ride almost exclusively your bike, right?
Yes, I try to get out and live my daily life by using the bicycle as my source of transportation.
Yeah, you just finished this 30 days on Red Bike?
Yes, I did. It was a lot of fun. I made it an initiative of mine. In April, there was a program called 30 Days of Biking, and it encouraged people to get out on a bike for at least one journey every day. And I made my journey doing 30 Days of Red Bike, and it was a lot of fun.
Good. Wade, you're involved with development, coordination of trails, and we've heard a lot about Wasson Way, and we've heard about the Riverfront Trail, and we've heard, but when you think of the development of hike-bike trails in our area, how do you imagine that? And we do have a map that we can also get to here.
Yeah, so we've got all these tangent lines out there right now, and one of the big things that we want to do is create these lines that connect so we have a network of trails, and there's a lot of really good momentum happening downtown, like you said, with Wasson Way and along the riverfront, but regionally we have a lot of really good momentum pushing the Trails Initiative to expand it, and a lot of communities want it.
So I'm a person who, I'm still more comfortable on trails. Frank and I have talked about this. Although I'm totally committed to Red Bike and ride downtown a lot. But with the trails, I'm out at the Little Miami Trail a lot. And ultimately, the goal, so you see, is that something like the Little Miami Trail might hook in all the way downtown, but could it also hook in to other trails? And there's also this sense that when you're on that trail, we really ought to be able to go really far on that thing.
Definitely. There's a project that we're working on in the city to connect some of the city trails. And then also what the Regional Trails Alliance is doing is really focusing on the regional picture. We have about a 9-county region. It also, we're toying with the idea of including 2 more, which would make it 11. That's Southwest Ohio, Southeast Indiana, Northern Kentucky. And there are some really big backbone pieces like the Little Miami Trail, and then the Great Miami Trail, which has not as far along, the Mill Creek, Licking River Greenway, and then along the riverfront, obviously.
So this is another way of uniting the region and using, as Mayor Carran said, using that river as a way to unite us, not to divide us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Frank, one of the things, too, is that because so much has been happening just recently in Cincinnati, Cincinnati has gotten some recognition for this. There been some recognition with the Huffman Award given by the Ohio Bike Association, but also some national recognition, right, about what's the progress Cincinnati's making.
That's correct. As recently as 2007, Cincinnati was on the League of American Bicyclists list of bicycle unfriendly cities. And given all the work that's gone on since 2008 through today, Cincinnati now is recognized by the league as a bronze bicycle friendly community, and Bicycling Magazine, which is a national publication, last fall recognized Cincinnati as the 35th most friendliest bicycle community out of 50 in the country.
So, and hadn't appeared anywhere on that list before.
The first time.
So just sort of jumped into it with a lot of energy around a lot of things. Some of that was red bike, but some of it was some of the trails like the trail on the Central Parkway.
Correct.
And we have some video of that. Some people find, you know, riding on the regular streets and riding on a road like Central Parkway, if not controversial, confusing about how they should ride or how they should drive with riders nearby. What would you say about that?
Dan, the Central Parkway Bikeway was the first protected bikeway that was installed in the state of Ohio. And whenever you have a leading edge project, there's going to be some confusion and there's going to be a learning curve. And the city has been very good, the bicycle transportation program, of monitoring Central Parkway, discovering the issues, and fixing them. This discussion you talked about is expected. You know, when you have something that's in the mainstream now and the entire community is involved, it's good that we're having a conversation about it.
So, do you think we're going to see more of those sorts of protected bikeways?
There's more in the city's bicycle transportation plan.
Which is from 2010.
That's correct.
And available to people. Do you see those kinds of elements as part of a trail system? Or are those outside what you're worried about?
Our big focus is off-road paved trails at this time. So that definitely connects into it, and it's beneficial to the whole network. But I'm a believer in having options. So if you can be on the road, great, but if you are more comfortable on a trail, then we want to give you that opportunity.
One thing I do want to bring up is the whole question of the relationship of bikes and streetcars. And since I have personal relationship with this, there are signs on our streets that I want to show one of, and that is to be careful when you're riding your bike not to get your front tire or your back tire in the streetcar track, because I was the model for this sign last October, and I'll tell you what, it's not required, I don't think it's legal that you must wear a bike helmet, but I tell people if they're going to ride, they really should have a helmet.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. I might have gotten killed if I hadn't had a bike helmet, very honestly. So, yeah, this is the helmet I keep at my desk now, and then I have other helmets for when I ride out from my home. But I just keep this so I can grab it whenever I need it. So.
Good way to do it. The streetcar tracks are similar to the Central Parkway Bikeway in that it's a new dynamic in the cycling community. And like anything, there's skills that you need to learn in order
cross at 90 degrees.
Exactly. In order to safely cycle adjacent to the streetcars. Queen City Bike is sponsoring over the summer a number of streetcar cycling clinics, and it's free.
Okay.
And you can go to the Queen City Bike Facebook page and find the dates. And we'll have about a 90-minute session that will be hands-on of how to safely ride by and over the tracks.
Okay. I want to make sure people can get a hold of Queen City Bike, and the website is queencitybike.com.
Correct.
So just clear. And Green Umbrella is Green Umbrella.
The Regional Trails Alliance, Tri-State Trails, we're kind of going through a rebranding.
Okay.
But, you can find us on the Green Umbrella website.
Green Umbrella website. thank you for being here. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and women working to make our region a better place to live. Have a good week. And as Frank would say,
crank on.